The AirPods Max came out around 2 years ago now, and to this day they're still one of the most expensive pair of headphones on the market. They currently come in at £550. We'll probably be seeing a Gen 2 of these some point soon, maybe within the next year or two, but they do certainly have some competition. But today's video is more discussing what are these like in 2023 and if I would recommend them to the average person. So I think one of the first things to mention right off the bat was the price, and that is because this is going to be a big factor in why people will choose this, as you've got the choice between something that's £550 versus something, for example, like the Sony's, the XM5s. I think they cost around £400, so you're looking at something that is worth a good chunk less but are of similar quality. Now, one of the big differences that a lot of people will mention about these is that they are made out of full stainless steel with that sort of mesh around the ear cups and the band above your head, both of which are really comfortable. These headphones are a lot more comfortable than I was expecting them to be originally, because I was like, oh well, they are really heavy headphones, that's what everyone will say about them, so I was really worried initially of them just being a bit too heavy, but they aren't. You'll notice their weight, specifically probably when like you lean forward a bit more than anything. If you're just sat up straight, for example, it's perfectly fine. You don't have to worry about it at all. Now, one of the things that I was worried about initially when I was using them is that they aren't sweat resistant or water resistant in any way, which means that when you use them for the gym, for example, like I have, they aren't necessarily going to be great if you sweat a lot. For me though, I don't sweat tons for some reason. I just kind of my skin literally just fully dehydrates instead of producing mass amounts of sweat. But for some people, literally if you sweat awfully, then they're not going to be the headphones for you, specifically in the gym anyway. One thing that a lot of people will bring up in particular is going to be this case. Yes, it is a bit inconvenient, however, after now using them for traveling, I can say that it isn't awful. Yes, I would have rather had like the ability to kind of make them more compact, for example, like the old Sonys. However, all round, they aren't that bad. The only thing that I would say is that I do wish that these would be able to just turn off completely by themselves, so they weren't always in just like a standby mode, so that they could last even longer. For example, my Sony XM3s would last me like multiple, like I'd say a good month or two on end, and that'd be me using them fairly actively, whereas these I have to charge probably once every 3 to 4 weeks. Now though, in terms of that battery life, Apple do quote 20 hours of battery life, which I can say is probably about accurate. Typically though, I'd say that I get more than that. Whenever I'm using them, I don't feel like I'm using them for like literally 20 hours and they're going dead. I'd probably say, for example, because I use them for video editing on my MacBook or on my PC, I'll use them just for generally watching things. Let's say if I want to and I don't want to be disturbing anyone, then I'll use those. And I'd say typically, like I said, about 3 to 4 weeks I will normally charge them, and I'd say probably I get about 35 to 40 hours of use out of these things. Now though, one thing that I found interesting about these versus, let's say, AirPods Pros is that they do sound almost identical. There isn't much difference between them if you look at the spec sheet. If anything, on paper, the AirPods Pros, specifically the Gen 2 ones anyway, are actually better than these. But these do sit somewhere for people who want to wear the over-ear extremely, like a lot better noise cancelling than you would get with something like the AirPods Pros. However, one thing that I have noticed, and I would be lying if I didn't mention this, is that, for example, when I'm in the gym and you've got all the noise all around you all the time, I've noticed a lot of the time that when I'm moving my head slightly, for example, the ear cups open up slightly too much and let in a load of noise. Whereas with obviously in-ear ones, they're sat really snug into your ears, so you don't have to deal with that too much. So I'd say they definitely are better at noise cancelling from my like use case anyway. However, they do have those little moments where you kind of move a little bit too much and the ear cup kind of moves a little bit out of place and it bleeds in a little bit of outside audio. One of the key benefits as well that I'd definitely say has been really useful is the auto swap feature between, let's say, the phone, the MacBook and my PC. With the PC, it isn't too much. However, I have noticed it a lot more when it comes to my iPad to MacBook to phone. Typically, it is great. It also means that, for example, if you're listening to Spotify, you kind of just jump between everything and it will still be listening, which has been really cool. However, there is moments, again, where it is like annoying. It seems to prioritize my phone more than it does like my MacBook, for example. So I could be sat there doing stuff on my laptop and I open my phone for like a moment and then it auto swaps over. And let's say I have my phone open on, let's say, the Notes app. I put it to one side and I start working back on my computer and it's like turned off my Spotify for a moment, or it's turned off a YouTube video. Sometimes that does happen, but other times, for example, it will just continue playing Spotify between them. So it's one of those things that I think is just a feature that they need to get fixed more than anything. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is this versus the Sony XM5s. And if I'm honest, unless you have the disposable income to get these, I wouldn't necessarily recommend getting them over the Sonys. Two main reasons. One is weight, and second is the overall quality of the headphones. I'd definitely say in between these and the Sonys, I've noticed a lot less bass, which personally I prefer more of the bassier noise than anything else than, let's say, these. And then also, at times, I'd definitely say that all of the music in general sounds so much deeper and more just thorough. With the Sonys, I think that's the best way I can describe it. Like, you feel as if you can hear everything, whereas with the AirPods, you definitely get that, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it's like extremely higher quality above, let's say, what you would get with just the normal AirPods Pros. Now, would I recommend these? Like I said, I would say yes if you have the disposable income and you want to get them. But if you're someone who is just looking for a good pair of headphones, you don't want to spend tons and tons of money, then I'd probably just recommend either getting the Sony XM4s or XM5s, or even just the AirPods Pros. Any of those will do a great job when it comes to noise cancelling and audio quality in pretty much every scenario that you're in. Now, hopefully you guys found this video useful. If you did, make sure to leave a like and do subscribe for more content on the channel. I upload videos every single week in regards to tech content, and soon, it won't be long now until we get the new Apple events. I'll be discussing some things around the new iOS launch and whatever else they announce. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.